That's good prep work over there.
Yeah, really quick, man.
All right, injury update. Beecham with the ankle. It's going to be week to week still. Herndon, hamstring, week to week. 47 with he's in the concussion protocol. 25 ankle day to day. 46 still day to day. CJ will try to work some individual tomorrow, so we're making progress there. Thing with Hairston, he's gonna try to work in practice some tomorrow. Henry, hopefully we get later in the week we get a chance to get him out of practice. And then 70 with the shoulder, not going to practice, still going through our process as far as what's going on with his deal.
Adam, who did you say was in concussion? I'm sorry.
McClellan.
Just logistically, Adam, do you typically, when you have a Monday night game, do you typically not practice on Wednesday?
Yeah, we can't. Normally we had done that. We were pretty banged up right now, so we were limited on like who would have been able to go today. So we just felt like we're light in two positions right now. Just would have been hard for us to get our the reps we wanted in. So we just pushed everything back a day.
You mentioned you're hopeful that CJ can do some individual drills. How close does that mean he's playing? Like, does that mean okay this week he does individuals, next week's team
we'll just. I mean, I'm hopeful for tomorrow, be able to do individual and just kind of see how it goes. I think we're just taking this minute to minute. I think at the end of the day, we want to make the right decision, whatever we decide to do. I think this is just going to be more than just me saying, hey, it looks good, and the trainers. And I think this is going to be full organization, CJ involved as far as what's the best thing for him.
Has he been able, 2 weeks ago when we talked to him, he said he hadn't been able to test it because they wouldn't let him open it up. Has he been able to do some of that stuff?
He's been able to do a lot more in the last week or so. So that's why we're at this point where it looks like we'll get him out of practice.
We only saw him as a jet the one game, obviously went pretty good. Can you discuss what you've missed with him not there and how impactful that's been for you guys?
As impactful as getting a starting quarterback back. If that impactful.
Yeah, I mean, it's looked that way.
Yeah.
How do you characterize Chris is still week to week, so it's fair to say that it's unlikely he'll play on Monday?
Well, it's going to be about, can we get him in practice? How does he feel at practice? How far can he stretch it? I think the biggest concern that we have is having any kind of setback, because he is a vertical threat type of player. Like, he's not one of those guys where it's going to be easy to just work him at a 10-yard to 15-yard range. Like, he's one of those guys that stretches the field, and when he gets going, he runs fast. So we just have to make sure we don't have a huge setback, and then all of a sudden we lose him for 4 weeks.
And back to CJ a little bit. Just what are the things that you miss most when he's not in there?
I mean, obviously he's a dynamic playmaker. He gets his hands on the ball. He cleans up a lot of things. If we have a poor run fit, he gets involved in the tackle. He can mask any kind of errors. He's a very intelligent player that's seen a lot of football, so he sees things coming that younger guys don't. And at the end of the day, I mean, the guy's one of our captains. He's a really good leader.
Is there a chance that Herndon practices tomorrow? Because it's kind of, you seem like it's.
Yeah, I mean, it's just.
Also week to week says no. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's what every day it's kind of I get the update of, all right, hey, we got a shot tomorrow or we don't. So it's kind of like he goes through what he has to go through today, and then I get an update tomorrow. Yes, he can go. No, he can't. We have him do an individual or we don't. That's why it's so gray, because I don't know until sometimes in the morning.
What's the deal with Assembly 7:30?
We're going through our process right now.
What does that mean?
That means I don't have an answer for you.
So there's a chance he's not getting through?
I mean, we're going through our process right now. I know Ian Rappaport's got better information than me.
So when you game plan for a team like the Patriots that runs a ton of coverage zero, a lot of heavy man coverage, what are you guys doing to mitigate that, like, especially in the first quarter, so you don't find yourself in a hole? What are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, that's what That's what makes them the best defense in the league right now. Is they play man coverage, they play it well, they play tight. They're almost daring you to beat them. Just nobody. It's hard to beat them. You know, when you're playing against one of the, if not the best corner, one of the best corners in the league. The rest of those guys do a great job of working well together. It's kind of one of those things where it's a whole bunch of different looks, but there's some similarity there. So they do a good job of putting the quarterback in doubt on what to do, and they're tough to beat down the field, and it's just hard to get plays on them.
And along those lines, just looking at it from the other side, how important is offensive identity? I mean, people talk about it all the time. I know you talk about it, whatever works for that particular week. But as a coach, does that matter to you to have an offensive identity?
It does. I mean, in the aspect, I always look at it like this: like, are you a tough team? Are you able to adjust? You know, are you able to be the chameleon type offense? If you're not, and last week was the first time where we actually put something together to where we look like we can, you know, play action pass and, you know, do some things and push the ball down the field a little bit. We hadn't shown that. You know, I think we're still kind of in that weird stage of trying to figure out exactly who we are. But I think once you kind of figure out who you are, commit to it, sometimes it takes some time within the season. It takes 4 or 5 games. We just really haven't been a whole offense. Last game was the first time.
Is there a fine line, though, between being predictable and having that identity?
Yeah, it is. It's you become predictable, and when you play a team like we're playing this week, you can find yourself in trouble because they'll tee you off on you. So you got to find that fine line of how do you hide things that you're good at, how do you make them guess a little bit and not be all over it.
What did you see from Le'Veon this past game, and what can he do now that Sam's back? You know, how different will he be?
Well, I mean, hopefully we can open it up a little bit for him. You know, he's seen a lot of loaded boxes. You know, he's had a lot of tough runs. He's made the most out of what he's had and probably gotten us more than what we should have. And, you know, I keep walking out of these games thinking that his yardage is higher than what it is because it seems like he was working really hard to get some of those yards, especially earlier. I think if we do well in the passing game, that opens up some things for him. I'm still waiting for those moments where we get him to that safety level to see what happens. I think we're close. This will be a tough week for us to get that done. Obviously, we have to do it has to be all 10. It has to be all 10 guys doing their job to help him get to that second level.
Along those lines, is that kind of the next step for the offensive line? Because you guys felt like the pass protection was better this week, but the run game obviously still can use a jolt. Is the next step for them kind of improving in the run game as well?
Yeah, I mean, they did a good job of stopping the run, but it opened up a lot of things for us in the passing game. So, I mean, it's one of those things where to get both those phases going, you know, we really got to be in sync. Sometimes if the team decides to take one away, the other one has to hit. And yet last week I felt like our passing game kind of, you know, took a big step forward.
You mentioned being the predictable identity and stuff like that. Building a little bit on that with playing the Patriots so pretty recently, just a couple weeks ago, and the fact that you had Luke Falk under center for that game, not Sam Darnold. Does that aid you guys at all that essentially you're running a completely different offense now with Sam than just a couple weeks ago when they saw you?
I mean, these guys have played this offense, at least this scheme, a lot over the last 8 years or whatever. I mean, I think this is like the 17th time I've called a game against them or something like that. So you just keep trying to find some things that, you know, you can do well against them, and you work on changing things up. They do the same thing. You know, they're different than what they were last year. You know, they're different from game to game. They do a great job of taking away what you do well, whether it's front coverage, alignment. That's what makes this challenge. This is what's making it fun, though, at the same time, where guys know what kind of challenge they're in for.
Adam, Jameson's numbers with Sam have been pretty incredible in the 2 games he's been in. What have you seen there? Is that something I mean, obviously Jameson has a reputation to be a pretty dependable guy, but what have you kind of seen with that connection there? Is that something you kind of envisioned?
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like Herndon with Sam. You know, it just seems he finds them. You know, it might not always be the first read in the progression, but when things break down, he seems to find them, and it's a good thing for us that they've developed that kind of trust and chemistry, and you know, for whatever reason, Jameson just seems to be in the right place at the right time a lot of times.
You mentioned how their defense creates doubt for quarterbacks, coaching a young quarterback like Sam, who's seen some of this stuff for the first time. What are some of the points you try to emphasize this week, the coaching points?
You try to do a good job as a play caller and really as an offensive staff to design plays that we can get number one open. It's tough because you're counting on guys to beat man coverage. You know, it's a lot of times the way the linebackers are, you're not really sure who's rushing, who's dropping. You know, all of a sudden then it's cover two. They do a great job of doing what they're doing right now. I mean, that's why they're having a lot of success and causing a lot of problems. You just have to try to find those things to where you can get him into a rhythm and he starts seeing it to where he's not doubting himself. Sometimes it slows down for these guys. Like last week, I felt like he was seeing it really well. Like he knew where the guys were.
And it looks like Gilmore has traveled with Robbie, I mean, the last few times the
Yep.
Jets have played them. So how do you, I mean, we know how good Gilmore is. What can you do to try to free up Robbie to get him away from that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough matchup for both those guys because when you got a guy like Robbie that can stretch the field, you don't know when it's going to happen. I think Robbie has done a good job at least putting on tape. I know we haven't hit him a ton on a lot of these different routes, but where it can create doubt for him is saying he's running the whole route tree. So he's got to respect that. And, you know, at the same time, Robbie has to understand who he's going against, and he has to use certain techniques to help himself get freed up.
Edelman seems,
One from Manish and one from Costello.
seems like your kind of player. What do you like about him?
Anytime you got a guy that can, one, he's as tough as you can get. You know, it's whether he's in the slot outside, you see a guy that's involved in the run game. He's always throwing his body around. He's one of those guys that he's a processor. When he's working inside, when he's working these option routes, he can take a picture of what it is. He can see where guys are going before it happens. He knows where the right spot to get to. He's quarterback friendly. Always seems to be the guy that's finding that little hole in the defense, and it might be small, and then Tom finds him. You know, when you have guys like that, it's just such a reliable guy for the quarterback. You just know when things aren't going right, that's who you can go to.
Did Demarius look more like himself this week?
Yeah, I thought he had a good week. He had a good week of practice. It was good to see him in the game. You know, get some of those crossing routes, get those intermediate routes. I think we're just going to keep progressing. I think each week that he's out there and he keeps feeling good, the more we can do with him.
Thank you, everyone.
I guess.